Betrayed Fortune, a journey of wealth, betrayal, and redemption. It was supposed to be a night of surprise and celebration. I had come home early, clutching a bouquet of Jane's favorite lilies, eager to prepare a romantic dinner for her. It had been a while since we had a quiet evening together, and I thought it was the perfect way to reconnect. As I stepped into our home, everything seemed normal at first. The familiar scent of Jane's vanilla candles filled the air, and soft jazz played from the living room speaker. I made my way to the kitchen, placed the flowers on the counter, and then headed upstairs to change out of my work clothes. That's when I heard it, a soft, muffled laughter coming from our bedroom. My heart started to race, and a knot of anxiety formed in my stomach. I quietly approached the door, which was slightly ajar, and pushed it open with a trembling hand. There, on our bed, was Jane. She was tangled up in the sheets with another man, and they both looked up at me, their expressions quickly shifting from joy to shock. The man was Thomas, her boss. I felt a surge of anger and betrayal wash over me, my vision narrowing as the reality of the situation hit me like a freight train. "What the hell is going on here?" I demanded, my voice a mix of rage and heartbreak. Jane scrambled to cover herself, tears welling up in her eyes. Thomas, on the other hand, seemed almost defiant, slowly getting dressed as if he had every right to be there. "James, I can explain," Jane stammered, but her words felt hollow and insincere. "I don't want to hear it," I snapped. "How long has this been going on?" Jane looked down, unable to meet my gaze. "A few months," she admitted quietly. "But James, it's not what you think. It's about the money. Thomas promised me a promotion and more financial security. I did it for us." Her words were like a punch to the gut. She betrayed me for money, our love, our vows, all reduced to a transaction. I felt sick. Without another word, I turned and walked out of the room, out of the house. I drove aimlessly for hours, trying to process what had just happened. The woman I had loved and trusted with all my heart had sold our relationship for financial gain. The next day, I filed for divorce. It was a painful, grueling process, but I knew I couldn't stay with someone who had betrayed me so deeply. The days turned into weeks, and I fell into a deep depression. Everything reminded me of what I had lost, and I found it hard to see any way forward. One afternoon, as I sat in a quiet corner of a coffee shop, staring blankly at my untouched drink, I heard a familiar voice. "James, is that you?" I looked up to see Mike, an old friend from high school. We hadn't seen each other in years, but his warm smile and genuine concern were like a lifeline. He sat down and we talked for hours, catching up on lost time. Mike was working on a startup and was looking for investors. I had some savings left from the divorce settlement, and despite my reservations, I decided to take a chance. Investing in Mike's company gave me a sense of purpose, a distraction from the pain. To my surprise, the startup took off. Within a year, we were one of the fastest-growing companies in Silicon Valley. My investment paid off beyond my wildest dreams, and for the first time in a long time, I felt a sense of hope and excitement about the future. 2 years had passed since the divorce when Jane showed up at my doorstep. She looked different, more worn, less confident. She had heard about my success and wanted to talk. "James, I'm so sorry for everything," she began, tears streaming down her face. "I made a terrible mistake. The money from Thomas didn't bring me happiness. I realized that I love you, and I want us to be together again." Her words brought back a flood of memories, both good and bad. But as I looked into her eyes, I knew that too much had changed. I had changed. The trust that once bound us was shattered, and no amount of apologies could mend it. "I'm sorry too, Jane," I said softly, "but we can't go back. I wish you all the best, but I need to move forward with my life." With that, I closed the door, feeling a strange mix of sadness and relief. I had finally let go of the past and was ready to embrace whatever the future held. And so began a new chapter in my life, one where I learned to value trust and integrity above all else, and to never settle for anything less than true, unconditional love. The days following the discovery of Jane's betrayal were a blur of anger, sadness, and disbelief. I couldn't sleep, couldn't eat. The image of Jane and Thomas together was seared into my mind, replaying every time I closed my eyes. Friends and family reached out, offering support and sympathy, but nothing could ease the pain. The divorce proceedings were swift but agonizing. Jane didn't contest the divorce, perhaps out of guilt, but that didn't make the process any less painful. Each meeting with the lawyers was a reminder of the life we had built together, and were now tearing apart. The house, the savings, even the dog, it all had to be divided. One night, after another sleepless evening, I found myself sitting in the darkened living room, surrounded by boxes of our shared belongings. I picked up a photo album, flipping through pages of happier times. There we were on our wedding day, beaming with joy, on our honeymoon, exploring the beaches of Hawaii, and celebrating birthdays and anniversaries. Each picture felt like a knife to the heart. Determined to find some semblance of normalcy, I threw myself into my work. I spent long hours at the office, tackling projects with a fervor that left my colleagues in awe. But no matter how much I tried to distract myself, the loneliness and heartbreak were inescapable. My once vibrant home now felt like a prison, each room echoing with memories of what was lost. It was during this period of despair that I bumped into Mike at the coffee shop. Seeing a familiar face from a happier time was a welcome reprieve from the constant ache in my chest. Mike was the same as ever, energetic, optimistic, always with a plan or an idea. He told me about his new startup and the exciting prospects it held. "I know it's been rough for you, James," Mike said, his eyes full of understanding. "But maybe this is an opportunity to start fresh. Why not invest in something new, something that could change your life?" At first I was skeptical. Investing my savings in a risky venture seemed like the last thing I needed. But Mike's enthusiasm was infectious, and deep down, I knew I needed a change, something to pull me out of the darkness. So I took a leap of faith. I invested my money in Mike's startup, hoping it would provide the distraction and purpose I desperately needed. It wasn't easy at first. There were long nights and stressful days, but gradually the startup began to gain traction. We secured funding, attracted talented employees, and started making a name for ourselves in Silicon Valley. As the company grew, so did my sense of self-worth. I was no longer just the man whose wife had betrayed him. I was a successful entrepreneur, someone with a future and a purpose. The success of the startup was like a balm to my wounded heart, giving me something positive to focus on. A year later, we were celebrating our first major milestone, an acquisition offer from a tech giant. The money was beyond anything I had ever imagined, and suddenly, I found myself in a position of wealth and influence. The irony wasn't lost on me. Jane had left me for financial security, and now I had more of it than ever before. But money wasn't the answer to everything. While it brought comfort and new opportunities, it couldn't erase the scars of betrayal. I knew I needed to find true closure and move on, not just financially, but emotionally. It was during one of our company's celebratory parties that I met Emily. She was a software engineer, smart, funny, and with a smile that could light up a room. We hit it off immediately, and for the first time in a long while, I felt a spark of genuine happiness. Emily didn't know about my past, and I didn't feel the need to share it right away. With her, I could start anew. Just as things were looking up, Jane reappeared. It had been 2 years since our divorce, and seeing her on my doorstep brought back a whirlwind of emotions. She looked different, more tired, less confident. "James," she began, her voice trembling, "I'm so sorry for everything. I made a terrible mistake. The money from Thomas didn't bring me happiness. I realized that I love you, and I want us to be together again." Her words hung in the air, heavy with regret. Part of me wanted to believe her, to forgive and forget. But I knew better. The trust was gone, and without it, any attempt at reconciliation would be doomed to fail. "I'm sorry too, Jane," I said, my voice steady. "But we can't go back. I've moved on, and so should you." Closing the door on Jane felt like closing a chapter of my life. It wasn't easy, but it was necessary. I had found a new path, one that didn't include her. With Emily by my side and the startup thriving, I felt a renewed sense of purpose and hope for the future. As I stood in my office looking out over the city skyline, I realized that sometimes the hardest choices lead to the greatest rewards. Jane's betrayal had been devastating, but it had also set me on a path to success and happiness I never could have imagined, and for that, I was grateful. After closing the door on Jane, I felt a sense of finality and relief that had eluded me for so long. It was time to fully embrace the new life I had built. My relationship with Emily blossomed, and the success of our startup continued to soar, bringing with it new opportunities and challenges. Emily and I spent countless evenings together, sharing stories, dreams, and plans for the future. Her presence brought a warmth and stability that I hadn't felt in years. We traveled to new places, explored new hobbies, and celebrated every little success as a team. Our connection was genuine and unburdened by the shadows of the past. At the office, the atmosphere was electric. Our company, InnovateX, was making waves in the tech world. We had just launched a groundbreaking new product that garnered rave reviews and attracted major investors. Our team expanded, and we moved into a larger, more modern office space in the heart of Silicon Valley. One afternoon, as I was preparing for a major presentation to a group of potential investors, Mike pulled me aside. "James, I've got some big news," he said, his eyes sparkling with excitement. "We've been approached by another tech giant. They're interested in a merger." The idea of merging with a larger company was thrilling, yet daunting. It could catapult InnovateX to even greater heights, but it also meant giving up some control over the business we had nurtured from the ground up. We spent weeks deliberating, negotiating, and planning. Ultimately, we decided that the merger was the right move. It would provide the resources and infrastructure we needed to scale our innovations globally. The merger went through, and suddenly, I found myself in a new role, managing a larger team and navigating the complexities of a bigger corporate environment. It was challenging, but it was also incredibly rewarding. The success of InnovateX became a testament to the resilience and hard work of everyone involved. As my professional life flourished, my personal life reached new heights of happiness. Emily and I decided to move in together, finding a cozy apartment with a stunning view of the city. Every morning, we shared breakfast on the balcony, watching the sun rise over the skyline, and every evening, we cooked dinner together, enjoying each other's company and the simple pleasures of life. One weekend, we decided to take a trip to the coast, renting a small cottage by the sea. It was a peaceful escape from the hustle and bustle of the city. We spent our days walking along the beach, collecting seashells, and our nights sitting by the fireplace, talking about everything and nothing. On the last evening of our trip, as the sun set over the ocean, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink, I took Emily's hand. "Emily, I've never been happier than I am with you," I said, my voice filled with emotion. "You've brought so much joy and stability into my life. I can't imagine a future without you." Tears welled up in her eyes as she smiled at me. "James, I feel the same way. You've shown me what it means to truly love and be loved." With the sound of the waves crashing in the background, I got down on one knee and pulled out a small velvet box. "Emily, will you marry me?" Her answer was a resounding yes, and at that moment, I knew that everything I had gone through, Jane's betrayal, the divorce, the struggle to rebuild my life, had led me to this incredible woman and this perfect moment. We returned to the city, engaged and filled with excitement for our future together. Planning the wedding was a joyous experience, and we decided to keep it small and intimate, surrounded by our closest friends and family. The ceremony took place in a beautiful garden, and as we exchanged vows, I felt an overwhelming sense of gratitude for the journey that had brought me here. Life continued to move forward, filled with new challenges and opportunities. Emily and I started discussing the possibility of starting a family, and the idea of raising children together filled us with anticipation and joy. At InnovateX, the merger opened doors to new markets and collaborations. We launched several successful projects, and our reputation as innovators in the tech industry grew. I was invited to speak at conferences and events, sharing our story and the lessons we had learned along the way. Through it all, I never forgot the lessons I had learned from my past. Trust, integrity, and true love were the foundations of my new life. Jane's betrayal had been a painful chapter, but it had also been a catalyst for growth and transformation. It had taught me to value what truly mattered and to never settle for anything less than genuine happiness. As I stood on the balcony of our apartment one evening, watching the city lights twinkle below, Emily wrapped her arms around me. "What are you thinking about?" she asked, resting her head on my shoulder. "Just how grateful I am for everything," I replied, holding her close. "For you, for us, for this incredible life we've built together." She smiled and kissed me softly. "I'm grateful too, James. Here's to many more happy years together." And so, with Emily by my side and a future full of promise, I embraced the new beginnings that lay ahead. confident that the best was yet to come. Months passed after Emily and I got engaged, and our lives seemed to settle into a blissful routine. We were planning our wedding, our startup was thriving, and everything seemed perfect. But life has a way of testing you when you least expect it. One afternoon, as I was preparing for a crucial board meeting, I received an unexpected phone call. It was Jane. I hadn't heard from her since the day I closed the door on her pleas for reconciliation. "James, I need to talk to you," she said, her voice tinged with desperation. I hesitated, memories of our painful past rushing back. "Jane, what is it? I thought we agreed to move on." "I know, and I'm sorry for reaching out like this," she said. "But I've been diagnosed with a serious illness. I'm not asking for anything. I just needed to tell you." Her words hit me hard. Despite everything that had happened, I couldn't deny the concern I felt. Jane had been a significant part of my life, and hearing that she was unwell stirred a mix of emotions. "I'm sorry to hear that, Jane," I replied, struggling to keep my voice steady. "I hope you have support." "I do, but I also needed to make amends," she said softly. "I've been going through therapy, and part of that process is seeking forgiveness from those I've hurt. I know I don't deserve it, but I needed to ask." Her request left me conflicted. Forgiveness was a powerful thing, but it wasn't easy. I decided to meet with her, to see if there was a way to find closure and perhaps offer some peace to both of us. We met at a quiet cafe, and as Jane sat across from me, I could see the toll her illness had taken. She looked fragile, a shadow of the vibrant woman I once knew. "James, I've had a lot of time to reflect on my actions," she began. "I was selfish and blinded by material things. I hurt you in ways I can't ever fully make up for, and for that, I am truly sorry." Listening to her, I felt a weight lifting off my shoulders. Holding on to anger and resentment had been exhausting. Maybe it was time to let go. "Jane, I appreciate your apology," I said sincerely. "It's not easy to confront the past, but I hope you find peace. I've moved on with my life, and I'm happy now. I hope you can do the same." We parted ways amicably, and as I walked away, I felt a sense of closure. Forgiveness didn't mean forgetting, but it did mean releasing the hold the past had on me. Returning to my life with Emily, I didn't mention the meeting with Jane immediately. I needed time to process it, but Emily and I had built our relationship on trust and openness, and I knew I had to tell her eventually. One evening, as we were preparing dinner, I broached the subject. "Emily, there's something I need to tell you." She looked at me with concern. "What is it, James?" "I met with Jane recently. She reached out to me because she was ill and wanted to apologize for everything that happened. It was difficult, but I felt it was important to hear her out." Emily listened quietly, her expression thoughtful. "How do you feel about it now?" "I feel relieved, I guess. It's like a chapter that's finally closed. I don't want it to affect us, though. You mean everything to me, and our future is what I care about most." Emily smiled and took my hand. "I trust you, James. It's important to face the past, and I'm glad you could find some peace. What matters is that we're together and moving forward." Her support meant the world to me. We continued with our wedding plans, each step bringing us closer to our special day. The ceremony was everything we had hoped for, intimate, filled with love, and surrounded by our closest friends and family. As we exchanged vows, I knew I had found the person I was meant to spend my life with. In the months that followed, Emily and I started to build our family. We welcomed our first child, a beautiful baby girl, and our lives were filled with the joys and challenges of parenthood. Each day was an adventure, and we embraced it together, stronger for all we had endured. At InnovateX, the merger continued to bring new opportunities. We launched innovative projects, expanded into new markets, and gained recognition as leaders in the tech industry. Balancing work and family was a challenge, but with Emily's unwavering support, I managed to find a harmony that worked for us. Looking back, I realized that every experience, both the good and the painful, had shaped who I was. Jane's betrayal had been a catalyst for growth, leading me to the incredible life I now had. Forgiving her had freed me from the past, allowing me to fully embrace the future with Emily and our daughter. One evening, as I watched Emily play with our little girl, I felt an overwhelming sense of gratitude. Life had taken me on a tumultuous journey, but it had led me to a place of happiness and fulfillment I never thought possible. "Thank you," I whispered, not to anyone in particular, but to the universe for guiding me through the storm to this moment of peace and joy. With my family by my side and the future wide open, I knew that the best was yet to come. Years passed, and life settled into a rhythm that was both fulfilling and challenging. Emily and I were blessed with 2 more children, a boy and another girl, and our home was filled with the sounds of laughter and love. InnovateX continued to thrive, solidifying its place as a major player in the tech industry. Yet, amid the success and family joy, life had one more twist in store for us. One sunny Saturday afternoon, as I was playing catch with my son Ethan in our backyard, my phone rang. It was a number I didn't recognize, but something compelled me to answer it. "Hello, James speaking," I answered, still keeping an eye on Ethan as he ran after the ball. "James, it's Mike," came the familiar voice, though it sounded strained. "I need to talk to you. It's important." Mike and I had remained close friends and business partners, and his serious tone immediately put me on edge. "What's going on, Mike? Are you okay?" "It's about Jane," he said, pausing as if searching for the right words. "She's in the hospital. She doesn't have much time left, and she's asking to see you." The news hit me like a punch to the gut. Despite everything that had happened, Jane had been a significant part of my life. Knowing she was at the end of hers brought a wave of emotions I wasn't prepared for. "Where is she?" I asked, my voice barely a whisper. Mike gave me the details, and I told Emily about the call. She looked at me with understanding and compassion. "You should go," she said softly, squeezing my hand. "It's important to say goodbye." With a heavy heart, I made my way to the hospital. The sterile smell and beeping machines brought back memories I'd rather forget. I found Jane's room and paused at the door, taking a deep breath before entering. Jane lay in the bed, looking frail and pale, a shadow of the woman I once knew. Her eyes lit up when she saw me, a faint smile crossing her lips. "James, you came," she said weakly. I nodded, taking a seat beside her. "Of course, Jane. How are you feeling?" She chuckled softly, though it quickly turned into a cough. "Not great, as you can see, but I'm glad you're here. I wanted to see you before it's too late." We sat in silence for a moment, the weight of unspoken words hanging in the air. Finally, Jane spoke again. "I wanted to thank you," she said, her voice barely above a whisper, "for forgiving me. It's something I never deserved, but it gave me peace. I've had a lot of time to think, and I realize now what I lost. You were always the best part of my life." Tears welled up in my eyes as I listened to her. "Jane, we both made mistakes. But what's important is that we both found a way to move forward. I hope you know that I do forgive you, truly." She smiled, tears streaming down her cheeks. "That means more to me than you'll ever know. Thank you, James, and thank you for coming." We talked for a while longer, reminiscing about the good times and sharing stories of the years that had passed. Despite the pain and the heartbreak, there had been genuine love between us once, and it was comforting to remember those moments. As the evening approached, Jane grew weaker. The nurse came in to check on her, and I knew it was time to go. I stood up and leaned down to kiss her forehead. "Goodbye, Jane," I said softly. "Rest well." She nodded, closing her eyes. "Goodbye, James. Be happy." I left the hospital with a heavy heart, but also a sense of closure. Seeing Jane one last time had been difficult, but it was also a reminder of how far I had come. The pain of the past had shaped me, but it didn't define me. When I returned home, Emily was waiting for me with open arms. I held her tightly, grateful for her unwavering support. "How did it go?" she asked gently. "It was hard," I admitted, "but I'm glad I went. It gave me closure, and I think it gave her some peace too." Emily nodded, understanding in her eyes. "I'm proud of you, James. It takes a lot of strength to face the past like that." Life continued, and the days turned into weeks, then months. Our family thrived, and InnovateX reached new heights. I often thought of Jane and the lessons I had learned from that chapter of my life. Forgiveness, resilience, and the importance of genuine love and trust. One evening, as we sat around the dinner table, Emily raised her glass. "To the family," she said, smiling at our children, "and to the journey that brought us here." "To the family," I echoed, feeling a profound sense of gratitude. The past had been tumultuous, but it had led me to a place of profound happiness and fulfillment. With my family by my side and the future bright, I knew that every experience, good and bad, had been worth it. And as we clinked our glasses and shared laughter, I realized that the best was yet to come. A few years had passed since Jane's death, and life had continued to move forward with its usual blend of challenges and joys. Our children were growing up quickly, each day bringing new milestones and memories. InnovateX was thriving, and Emily and I had settled into a life of contentment and purpose. One sunny afternoon, Emily and I decided to take the kids to a local park for a picnic. It was one of those perfect days, warm but not too hot, with a gentle breeze rustling the leaves. We spread out a blanket under a large oak tree, and as the kids ran off to play, Emily and I sat back, enjoying the peaceful moment. As I watched Ethan help his younger sister Lily on the swings, a voice called out from behind me. "James, is that you?" I turned around to see a woman I hadn't seen in years, Rebecca. She was an old college friend, and someone I hadn't kept in touch with since the early days of my marriage to Jane. "Rebecca, wow, it's been ages," I said, standing up to greet her. "How have you been?" Rebecca smiled warmly. "I've been good. Life's taken me on quite a journey. I saw you from across the park and had to come say hi. Is this your family?" I nodded, gesturing to Emily and the kids. "Yes, this is my wife, Emily, and our children, Ethan, Lily, and little Sam. Guys, this is Rebecca, an old friend from college." Emily stood up and shook Rebecca's hand. "Nice to meet you, Rebecca. James has mentioned you before." We chatted for a while, catching up on old times and sharing stories of our lives since college. Rebecca had become a successful lawyer and had recently moved back to the area after spending several years on the East Coast. As we talked, I realized how much I had missed the camaraderie of old friends. "James, do you remember our college hiking trips?" Rebecca asked, laughing. "Those were some of the best times." I smiled, memories flooding back. "I do, those were great days. We should plan a reunion hike sometime." As the afternoon wore on, Rebecca said her goodbyes, promising to stay in touch. Emily and I watched her walk away, and I felt a sense of nostalgia for those simpler times. "That was nice," Emily said, squeezing my hand. "It's good to reconnect with old friends." A few weeks later, Rebecca reached out, inviting us to a small gathering she was hosting at her new home. We accepted, looking forward to rekindling old friendships and making new ones. The evening was filled with laughter, good food, and the joy of reconnecting with people from our past. As the night wound down, Rebecca and I found ourselves alone on the patio, talking about the twists and turns our lives had taken. "You've done well for yourself, James," she said, looking out at the city lights. "I'm happy for you." "Thanks, Rebecca. Life has been a roller coaster, but I wouldn't change a thing. How about you? Any regrets?" She sighed, a wistful smile playing on her lips. "A few, but who doesn't? I've learned to embrace the journey and appreciate where I am now." We continued to talk, reminiscing about our college days and reflecting on how much we had grown since then. It felt good to reconnect and to share our stories and lessons learned along the way. Over the next few months, Rebecca became a regular part of our social circle. She got along well with Emily, and our children adored her. It was nice to have an old friend back in my life, and it reminded me of the importance of maintaining connections with people who had shaped who I was. One day, as I was driving to a business meeting, I received an urgent call from Mike. "James, I need you to come to the office right away. There's something important we need to discuss." The urgency in his voice left no room for questions. I turned the car around and headed straight to the office. When I arrived, Mike was waiting for me with a serious expression. "What's going on, Mike?" I asked, my concern growing. He handed me a folder filled with documents. "We've received a takeover offer from a major competitor. They're offering a significant sum to acquire InnovateX." I stared at the documents, my mind racing. A takeover could mean a substantial financial gain, but it also meant giving up control of the company we had built from the ground up. "What do you think?" I asked, looking up at Mike. He sighed. "It's a tempting offer, but we need to think about what it means for us, our employees, and our vision for the future." We spent the next few days in intense discussions, weighing the pros and cons of the offer. It was one of the toughest decisions I had ever faced. On one hand, the financial security and resources provided by the acquisition could take InnovateX to new heights. On the other hand, I feared losing the sense of purpose and personal investment that had driven our success. During this period, Rebecca's presence became a source of unexpected support. Her legal expertise and objective perspective helped us navigate the complexities of the offer. She spent long hours with Mike and me, analyzing every detail and providing valuable insights. In the end, we decided to reject the offer, choosing instead to continue growing Innovate X on our terms. It was a risky decision, but one that felt true to our vision and values. As life returned to its usual rhythm, I reflected on the whirlwind of events that had brought me to this point. From the pain of betrayal and the challenges of rebuilding, to the joy of new beginnings and the strength of enduring friendships, every experience has shaped me into the person I am. One evening, as Emily and I sat on our balcony watching the sunset, I felt a profound sense of gratitude. "We've been through so much," I said, taking her hand. "But I wouldn't trade any of it for the world." She smiled, resting her head on my shoulder. "Neither would I, James. Here's to whatever the future holds." With my family by my side and a renewed sense of purpose, I knew that the best was yet to come. Life continued its steady, rewarding pace. Emily and I celebrated each anniversary with a deepening sense of gratitude. Our children grew into remarkable young individuals, and InnovateX continued to thrive under our independent vision. However, a part of the past that I thought was fully behind me resurfaced most unexpectedly. It was a crisp autumn afternoon when I received a letter addressed to me from Jane's sister, Laura. I hadn't seen Laura since Jane's funeral, and opening the envelope filled me with a sense of foreboding. "Dear James," the letter began, "I hope this finds you well. There's something I need to share with you. While going through Jane's belongings, I found her diary. I believe there are entries in it that you should read." Jane wanted to explain her actions, and though it's too late for her to tell you in person, I think her words might bring you some closure. I stared at the letter, a mix of emotions swirling within me. I had found peace and closure in my way, but curiosity and a sense of unresolved questions about Jane's perspective drew me to agree with Laura's request. A few days later, Laura came by with a small, worn-out diary. She handed it to me with a gentle smile. "I hope this helps, James." She wanted to make amends. After Laura left, I sat down in my study, the diary resting on my lap. Emily found me there, her expression one of concern and support. "Do you want to do this alone?" she asked softly. I shook my head. "No, I'd like you to be with me." Emily sat beside me as I opened the diary. Jane's familiar handwriting filled the pages, each entry a window into her thoughts and feelings. The first few entries were about her early days in our marriage, filled with happiness and hope. But as I read on, the tone shifted, revealing her struggles, insecurities, and the factors that led to her infidelity. I'm March 15th. I can't help but feel like I'm losing myself. James is so focused on his work, and I'm left alone with my thoughts. The pressure to be perfect is overwhelming. I need an escape, something that makes me feel alive again. Reading these words, I felt a pang of guilt. I had been so engrossed in my career, trying to build a future for us, that I had overlooked her needs and the silent cries for help. The entries continued, detailing her affair with Mark and the sense of guilt that consumed her. July 2nd. I've made a terrible mistake. I thought Mark would make me feel better, but it's only made things worse. I love James, but I don't know how to fix this. I'm too ashamed to face him. Tears welled up in my eyes as I read Jane's torment. Emily squeezed my hand, offering silent support. November 10th. I've been diagnosed with cancer. It feels like karma, punishing me for all the hurt I've caused. I want to tell James, but I don't deserve his kindness. All I can do is hope he finds happiness without me. The final entries were written during her last days, filled with regret and a desire for forgiveness. February 28th. I'm so sorry, James. I never meant to hurt you. I wish I could turn back time and make different choices. I hope you find it in your heart to forgive me someday. Closing the diary, I felt a profound sense of sorrow and compassion for Jane. Her pain and regret were palpable, and while it didn't excuse her actions, it helped me understand the depth of her struggles. Emily hugged me tightly. I'm so sorry, James. It must be so hard to read this. It is, I admitted, my voice choked with emotion. But I'm glad I did. It helps to know what she was going through. It doesn't change the past, but it gives me a deeper understanding. In the days that followed, I processed the emotions stirred by Jane's diary. It brought a new layer of closure, one that was rooted in empathy and forgiveness. I shared parts of it with our children when they were older, helping them understand their father's journey and the complexities of human relationships. At Innovate X, I found myself more attuned to the well-being of my employees, making sure to foster an environment where people felt supported and valued. Jane's struggles had taught me the importance of balance and the need to be present for those who mattered. Life continued its course, filled with its usual ups and downs. Our family grew closer, and our bond was strengthened by the trials we had faced. One evening, as Emily and I sat on our porch watching the sunset, I felt a sense of peace. "Do you think about Jane often?" Emily asked gently. "Sometimes," I admitted, but not with pain or regret, more with a sense of understanding and forgiveness. Her story is a part of mine, and it's shaped who I am. I'm grateful for the lessons it taught me. Emily smiled, her eyes filled with love. "I'm grateful too, James. We've come so far, and I'm proud of the life we've built together." With the past finally laid to rest and the future wide open, I knew that every experience, both the joyous and the painful, had brought me to this moment of contentment and fulfillment. As the sun dipped below the horizon, I looked forward to all the adventures and challenges yet to come, confident that with Emily by my side, we could face anything. The days passed peacefully after I'd finished reading Jane's diary. Emily and I continued to build our life together, our bond deepening with each shared experience. Yet underneath the surface, I sensed a subtle shift in Emily's demeanor. She seemed more contemplative, occasionally distant, and I couldn't help but worry. One evening, after putting the kids to bed, I found her sitting alone on the porch, staring out at the stars. I joined her, the cool night air wrapping around us as I sat down beside her. "Penny for your thoughts?" I asked, trying to keep my tone light. She smiled faintly but didn't look at me. "Just thinking." "About anything in particular?" She sighed, finally turning to face me. "About us. About everything we've been through." I reached out and took her hand. "Emily, you can talk to me. What's on your mind?" She hesitated, then took a deep breath. Reading Jane's diary and seeing how deeply she struggled, it made me think. I've been wondering if you ever think about what could have been. If you ever regret how things ended with her. Her words hit me like a wave. I had been so focused on my journey of closure that I hadn't considered how it might affect Emily. I squeezed her hand gently. "Emily, I don't regret a single moment with you." Jane's diary was a reminder of a painful chapter, but it also reinforced how grateful I am for what we have. You and the kids are my everything. She looked into my eyes, searching for the truth in my words. "But what if she hadn't made those mistakes? What if she hadn't left? Do you think you'd still be with her?" I shook my head, pulling her closer. "Life doesn't work in what ifs. Jane made her choices and they led me to you. And you've shown me what true love and partnership look like. I can't imagine my life without you." Tears welled up in her eyes, and she leaned into me. "I know you love me, James, but I can't help feeling insecure sometimes. Reading about Jane's pain and regrets, it made me worry if part of you still holds on to that past." I stroked her hair gently, my heart aching at her vulnerability. "Emily, I let go of that past a long time ago. What Jane and I had is over, and it's a part of who I am, but it doesn't define me anymore. You've given me a second chance at happiness, and I wouldn't trade that for anything." She nodded, wiping away a tear. "I just needed to hear that. It's been hard, seeing you go through all those emotions again." "I understand," I said softly. "But know this, my love for you is unwavering. You're the one who stood by me, who helped me heal, and who made me believe in love again." Jane's story ended long ago, but ours is still being written. We sat there in silence for a while, the night enveloping us in its serene embrace. Slowly, I felt the tension ease from Emily's body as she relaxed against me. "Thank you, James," she whispered, "for always being honest with me, for making me feel loved and secure. I'll always be here for you, Emily, no matter what." In the weeks that followed, our life returned to its familiar rhythm. Emily seemed more at ease, the doubts that had plagued her slowly dissipating. We focused on our family, our children's laughter, and milestones filling our days with joy. One afternoon, As we watched Ethan's soccer game, Emily turned to me, her eyes sparkling with happiness. "I've been thinking, maybe we should take a family trip, just the five of us, somewhere we can make new memories and celebrate our journey." I smiled, the idea filling me with excitement. "That sounds perfect. Any ideas where you'd like to go?" "How about a road trip? We can visit some national parks, see the countryside, and just enjoy being together." I loved the idea. A chance to disconnect from work and the daily grind, to focus on what truly mattered. Our family. "Let's do it. We'll start planning tonight." The trip turned out to be exactly what we needed. We packed up the car and set off on an adventure, exploring the beauty of nature and the joy of each other's company. We hiked through forests, marveled at stunning vistas, and shared stories about campfires. Each day brought us closer, reinforcing the bond that held us together. One evening, as we watched the sunset over the Grand Canyon, Emily leaned her head on my shoulder. "This is perfect," she said softly. "I wouldn't trade this for anything." "Me neither," I replied, wrapping my arm around her. "This is what life is all about. Us, together, creating new memories." As the stars began to twinkle in the sky, I felt a profound sense of contentment. The journey we had taken, with all its twists and turns, had led us to this moment. And I knew without a doubt that the best was yet to come. With Emily by my side, and our children filling our lives with love and laughter, the future was bright and full of promise. After our memorable family trip, life returned to its usual pace. InnovateX was flourishing, our children were thriving, and Emily and I were more connected than ever. However, just as I had learned, life has a way of throwing curveballs when you least expect them. It started with a subtle drop in our stock prices. At first, it seemed like a minor fluctuation, something that happens in the volatile world of tech startups. But then, reports began to surface about a new competitor, TechNext, rapidly gaining traction with a product eerily similar to our flagship software. I called an emergency meeting with Mike and our key team members. The atmosphere in the conference room was tense as we reviewed the data. TechNext has somehow gotten their hands on our proprietary algorithms, Mike said, his frustration evident. Their product launch is set for next month, and if it's as good as they claim, it could decimate our market share. "How did this happen?" I asked, struggling to keep my anger in check. "We have stringent security protocols in place." "An internal leak, maybe," suggested Sarah, our head of cybersecurity. "I'm running a full investigation, but it's going to take time." Time was something we didn't have. The news of TechNext's impending launch had already caused ripples in the market, and our investors were getting nervous. We needed to act fast. "All right," I said, taking a deep breath. "First, we need to reassure our investors and customers. Mike, you handle the PR side of things. Sarah, prioritize the investigation. I'll look into our product development. We need to innovate and stay ahead." The next few weeks were a blur of frantic activity. We worked around the clock, trying to identify the leak, bolster our security, and enhance our product. The stress took a toll on everyone, including me. Emily noticed the strain and tried to support me as best she could, but it was clear that the crisis was affecting our family life. One night, as I sat in my home office poring over data, Emily came in with a cup of coffee. "You need to take a break, James," she said gently. "You've been at this non-stop." "I can't, Emily," I replied, rubbing my temples. "If we don't turn this around, everything we've built could fall apart." She sat beside me, her concern evident. "I know how important InnovateAX is to you, but remember, you're not in this alone. You have a team, and you have us. Don't burn yourself out." Her words struck a chord. I realized I had been so consumed by the crisis that I was neglecting the very people I was trying to protect. I reached out and took her hand. "You're right. I'm sorry. I'll try to balance things better." The next day, I called another meeting. "We need all hands on deck for this," I said, looking around the room. "But we also need to take care of ourselves. Burnout won't help us solve this problem. Let's prioritize tasks and support each other." We restructured our approach, delegating more effectively and ensuring that everyone took breaks. I made a conscious effort to be present at home, to show my family that I valued their support and understood their concerns. Despite our best efforts, the pressure continued to mount. The launch of TechNext's product was just days away, and we still hadn't identified the source of the leak. Desperation led us to consider more drastic measures. "Maybe we should try to buy them out," Mike suggested during one of our late-night strategy sessions. "It's risky," I replied, "but it might be our only option if we can't resolve this in time." We reached out to TechNext with a proposal, but they were confident in their position and refused our offer. The rejection stung, but it also fueled our determination. Then, in a surprising turn of events, Sarah's investigation bore fruit. "We found the leak," she announced during a morning meeting. "It was one of our engineers bribed by TechNext. We've secured the evidence and have taken immediate action." Relief washed over the room, but the battle was far from over. We needed to act quickly to salvage our position. With the leak identified and our security bolstered, we intensified our focus on innovation. The next few days were a whirlwind of creativity and collaboration. We fast-tracked several promising developments and prepared to launch an enhanced version of our software, aiming to outshine TechNext's offering. On the day of TechNext's product launch, we unveiled our new features, emphasizing our commitment to quality and innovation. The market's response was overwhelmingly positive, and our stock prices began to recover. While TechNext's product did make an impact, our swift response and the loyalty of our customer base helped us retain our market position. It was a hard-fought victory, but one that reinforced the importance of resilience and teamwork. As the dust settled, I took a moment to reflect on the crisis and its lessons. InnovateX had faced one of its toughest challenges and emerged stronger. More importantly, I learned the value of balance between work and family, ambition and well-being. That evening, as we celebrated with a small team gathering, I pulled Emily aside. "Thank you for keeping me grounded," I said, hugging her tightly. "I couldn't have done this without you." She smiled, her eyes filled with pride. "We're a team, James, in business and life." With the crisis behind us and a renewed sense of purpose, I felt ready to face whatever challenges the future might hold, confident that together we could overcome anything. With the crisis at InnovateX finally resolved, life settled into a more relaxed rhythm. The team had rallied admirably, and our renewed focus on innovation propelled us forward. Emily and I took a well-deserved vacation with the kids, traveling to the coast where we soaked in the sun and enjoyed each other's company without the weight of work hanging over us. As summer turned into fall, a sense of anticipation filled the air. InnovateX was thriving once more, and we began exploring new opportunities for growth and expansion. The experience taught me valuable lessons in leadership, resilience, and the importance of a supportive team. One evening, as Emily and I sat in our favorite spot on the porch, sipping tea and watching the sunset, she turned to me with a twinkle in her eye. "Do you remember when we first met?" I chuckled, thinking back to those early days of uncertainty and hope. "How could I forget? You walked into my life and turned it upside down, in the best possible way." She leaned her head against my shoulder. "I'm glad we found each other, James. Through all the ups and downs, I wouldn't change a thing." "Me neither," I replied, pressing a kiss to her forehead. "You've been my rock, Emily. I'm grateful every day for your love and support." As the seasons changed, so did our family dynamics. Ethan started high school, Lily became more independent, and little Sam began to show a knack for creativity. We embraced each new phase with enthusiasm, cherishing the moments we shared as a family. At InnovateX, we continued to innovate and expand our reach. The crisis strengthened our resolve and solidified our position in the market. We launched new products, forged partnerships with key industry players, and expanded our team with talented individuals who shared our vision. One day, as I reviewed a proposal for a groundbreaking project, I received an unexpected email. It was from Rebecca, inviting me to a charity gala she was organizing. Intrigued, I replied and agreed to attend. The gala was a glamorous affair, filled with familiar faces and new connections. Rebecca greeted me warmly, introducing me to influential figures in various industries. As we caught up, she mentioned a new venture she was spearheading, an initiative to support women entrepreneurs in tech. "It's called Empower Tech," she explained. "I've always been passionate about empowering women in male-dominated fields. Would you be interested in collaborating with InnovateX?" I was impressed by her dedication and the potential impact of Empower Tech. "Absolutely," I replied without hesitation. "Let's discuss how we can partner to make a difference." Over the coming months, InnovateX became a proud supporter of Empower Tech, providing mentorship, resources, and funding to women-led startups in the tech sector. It was a rewarding collaboration that aligned with our commitment to innovation and inclusivity. As our partnership with Empower Tech flourished, so did our family. Emily and I continued to nurture our relationship, making time for date nights and quiet moments together. We celebrated milestones, birthdays, anniversaries, and achievements with gratitude and joy. One evening as we sat by the fireplace, Emily turned to me with a gleam in her eye. "Do you remember when we used to dream about the future?" I smiled, reaching for her hand. "I do, and look how far we've come." She leaned in, her voice barely a whisper. "What's next for us, James?" I gazed into her eyes, filled with love and anticipation. "Whatever it is, I know we'll face it together. Our story isn't finished yet, Emily. This is just the beginning of a new chapter." With a sense of excitement for the future and a deep appreciation for the journey that had brought us here, we embraced the unknown, knowing that as long as we had each other, anything was possible. As the fire crackled softly and the stars twinkled outside, I felt a profound sense of peace. The challenges and triumphs of the past have shaped us into who we are today, a family united by love, resilience, and the unwavering belief in a brighter tomorrow. And as we looked ahead, hand in hand, I knew that our greatest adventures were yet to come. As the year drew to a close, our family gathered for our annual holiday traditions, with renewed gratitude and joy. The events of the past year had brought us closer together, and we cherished every moment spent in each other's company. InnovateX had ended the year on a high note, with our new initiatives gaining traction and our team morale stronger than ever. The partnership with Empower Tech exceeded our expectations, empowering women entrepreneurs and fostering innovation in the tech industry. One chilly evening, as we decorated the Christmas tree, Emily turned to me with a mischievous glint in her eye. "Remember when we used to talk about traveling the world?" I chuckled, remembering our dreams of exploring far-off places. "Yes, we still have that list of destinations somewhere, don't we?" She nodded, a smile tugging at her lips. "What if we made a New Year's resolution to start checking off those destinations?" The idea filled me with excitement. "I love that idea, Emily. Let's make it happen." Over the next few weeks, we brainstormed and planned our first international trip, a family adventure to Europe. The kids were thrilled at the prospect of exploring new cultures and landmarks, and Emily and I eagerly anticipated the chance to create lasting memories. In early spring, we embarked on our journey, visiting iconic cities like London, Paris, and Rome. Each destination held its magic, from the historical wonders of ancient ruins to the bustling energy of modern metropolises. We immersed ourselves in local cuisine, wandered through cobblestone streets hand in hand, and marveled at breathtaking vistas. One evening, as we stood atop the Eiffel Tower, watching the lights of Paris twinkle below us, Emily leaned against me. "This is everything I dreamed of and more," she murmured. I wrapped my arm around her, gazing at the city spread out before us. "It's perfect," I agreed, feeling a deep sense of contentment. Our European adventure became a journey of discovery, not just of new places, but of ourselves as a family. We laughed, we explored, and we grew closer with each passing day. When we returned home, our hearts were full of memories and our minds buzzing with plans for future adventures. InnovateX continued to thrive under Mike's capable leadership, allowing me to step back occasionally and focus on family and personal pursuits. As summer approached, Emily and I celebrated our anniversary with a quiet getaway to a secluded beach. Walking hand in hand along the shoreline, we reflected on the years we had spent together, the challenges we had overcome, the joys we had shared, and the love that had sustained us through it all. "Do you ever think about Jane?" Emily asked suddenly, her voice soft with curiosity. I paused, considering her question carefully. "Sometimes," I admitted, not with longing or regret, but with a sense of understanding. Her story was a part of mine, and it shaped who I am today. But you're my present and my future, Emily." She smiled, squeezing my hand. "I'm glad to hear that, James. Sometimes I wonder if we would have found each other if things had been different." "I believe we would have," I replied firmly. "Our paths were meant to cross, Emily, and I'm grateful every day that they did." As we watched the sunset paint the sky in hues of pink and gold, I knew that our journey together was far from over. Life has taught us resilience, love, and the importance of embracing each moment with gratitude and hope. In the months and years that followed, our family continued to grow and evolve. Ethan pursued his passion for computer science. Lily excelled in her artistic endeavors, and Sam showed a natural talent for storytelling. Emily and I supported each other through the highs and lows, celebrating milestones and facing challenges with unwavering determination. InnovateX expanded its reach globally, making a positive impact in communities around the world. Our partnership with EmpowerTech flourished, empowering more women to pursue their dreams in the tech industry. As I look back on our journey, from the tumultuous beginnings to the peaceful present, I felt a deep sense of fulfillment. The past had shaped us, but it was the future that beckoned with endless possibilities. As we embraced each new day with open hearts and open minds, I knew that together, we could conquer whatever challenges lay ahead, knowing that our love and resilience would guide us through. Life continued to unfold with its usual blend of surprises and joys for our family. InnovateX thrived under Mike's leadership, expanding its influence in the tech world while maintaining its commitment to innovation and ethical practices. Our partnership with EmpowerTech flourished, making a meaningful impact on women entrepreneurs globally. As the years passed, our children grew into remarkable individuals, each forging their paths. Ethan pursued a career in artificial intelligence. Lily established herself as a respected artist, and Sam followed his passion for storytelling, publishing his first novel to critical acclaim. Emily and I found renewed purpose in supporting our children's dreams while continuing to nurture our own. We traveled often, exploring new destinations, and creating memories that strengthened our bond as a family. One summer afternoon, as Emily and I sat on our porch sipping lemonade and watching the children play in the yard, a sense of nostalgia washed over me. "Can you believe how far we've come?" I mused, gazing at our bustling home filled with laughter and love. Emily smiled, her eyes reflecting the warmth of the sun. "It's been quite a journey, hasn't it? But I wouldn't change a thing." "Neither would I replied, reaching for her hand. "You've been my partner in every sense of the word, Emily. I'm grateful for every moment we've shared." She squeezed my hand gently. "Me too, James. You've brought so much light into our lives." As the evening descended, casting a golden hue over our surroundings, I reflected on the lessons life had taught us, about resilience, compassion, and the transformative power of love. Our story was a testament to the strength of our commitment to each other and to the values that guided us through both challenges and triumphs. In the quiet moments before bedtime, I often found myself marveling at the beauty of our life together. Our home echoed with laughter and the echoes of our children's dreams as they pursued their goals. Each day was a new opportunity to cherish our love and the growth we had experienced as individuals and as a family. Looking ahead, I knew that our journey was far from over. There would be new adventures to embark upon, milestones to celebrate, and challenges to overcome. But as long as we faced them together, with love, resilience, and unwavering support, I did not doubt that our legacy would be one of love, growth, and a commitment to making a positive impact on the world around us. As I tucked our children into bed that night, I kissed their foreheads gently, feeling a deep sense of gratitude for the life we had created together. And as we whispered our hopes and dreams for tomorrow, I knew that our story would continue to unfold, guided by the enduring power of love. Life had a way of surprising us when we least expected it. After years of stability and success, a new chapter began with an unexpected opportunity that would change our lives in ways we could never have imagined. It started with a phone call one rainy afternoon. I was in my office at InnovateX, reviewing quarterly reports, when my assistant knocked on the door. "James, there's a call for you. It's from a private number," she said, her brow furrowed in curiosity. I took the call, expecting it to be a routine business matter. Instead, the voice on the other end belonged to a lawyer, a representative of a distant relative I had never met. "Mr. Anderson, I'm calling on behalf of your great-aunt Margaret," the lawyer began. "I regret to inform you that she passed away recently. However, she has left you something quite unexpected in her will." My heart raced as he explained that Aunt Margaret had left me a sizable inheritance, a sprawling estate nestled in the countryside, complete with a historic mansion and acres of picturesque land. Stunned, I listened as he detailed the terms of the inheritance. Aunt Margaret had admired my work in technology and wanted to support my family's future endeavors. The estate was to be ours, a place where we could create new memories and continue our journey together. I hung up the phone in disbelief, unsure of how to process the news. Emily found me staring out the window, lost in thought. "What's wrong, James?" she asked, concern etched in her features. I turned to her, struggling to find the words. "It's Aunt Margaret. She left us something." Her eyes widened in surprise. "What do you mean?" "She left us her estate, a mansion, land." I trailed off, still trying to comprehend the enormity of it all. Emily took my hand, her touch grounding me. "That's incredible, James. What are we going to do?" I looked into her eyes, filled with uncertainty and excitement. "I don't know yet, but it feels like a sign, a new beginning for us." In the weeks that followed, we traveled to Aunt Margaret's estate, a grand and storied property that seemed to hold secrets of its own. Surrounded by rolling hills and ancient trees, the mansion stood as a testament to a bygone era. As we explored the estate, envisioning its potential, we were overwhelmed by its beauty and history. Emily's eyes sparkled with possibilities, and the children ran freely through the expansive gardens, their laughter echoing against the stone walls. "This place is magical," Emily whispered one evening as we stood on the balcony, watching the sunset paint the sky in hues of orange and pink. "It is," I agreed, wrapping my arms around her. "I never imagined something like this would be ours." We spent months restoring the mansion, preserving its historical charm while adding modern amenities. It became a sanctuary, a place where our family gathered for holidays, celebrations, and quiet moments of reflection. InnovateX continued to thrive under Mike's leadership, allowing me to divide my time between the estate and our business endeavors. Emily pursued her passions, becoming involved in local charities and community projects. As the years passed, the estate became more than just a home. It became a symbol of our journey, a testament to Aunt Margaret's generosity and our family's resilience. We hosted gatherings, welcomed friends and loved ones, and embraced the sense of community that surrounded us. One crisp autumn afternoon, as we gathered for a harvest festival on the estate grounds, I looked around at the smiling faces and felt a profound sense of gratitude. Our journey had led us here, to a place of love, growth, and unexpected blessings. "Do you ever think about how different our lives could have been?" Emily asked, her voice soft with contemplation. I took her hand, gazing into her eyes. "Sometimes," I admitted, "but I wouldn't change a thing. Our path led us here, to this moment." She smiled, leaning against me. "I'm glad we found each other, James, through everything." "As am I," replied, pressing a kiss to her forehead. "Our story is still unfolding, Emily, and I can't wait to see what the future holds." With a renewed sense of purpose and a deep appreciation for the journey that had brought us to this point, we embraced the unknown, knowing that together we could face whatever challenges and joys lay ahead. As the sun set over Aunt Margaret's estate, casting a warm glow over our family and friends, I knew that our legacy of love, resilience, and the pursuit of dreams would continue to flourish for generations to come. And as we danced beneath the starlit sky, surrounded by the echoes of laughter and the promise of tomorrow, I felt an overwhelming sense of peace. Our journey had come full circle, yet it was only the beginning. A new chapter filled with endless possibilities and the unwavering belief that with love, anything was possible. It was a brisk autumn afternoon when I received an unexpected email from an unfamiliar sender. The subject line simply read, "Reconnecting." Curiosity piqued, I opened the message to find a heartfelt note from Jane, a name from a distant past that stirred memories I had long set aside. She expressed a desire to meet and talk, acknowledging the mistakes of our past and the impact they had on both our lives. Intrigued and unsure of what to expect, I agreed to meet her at a quiet cafe in the heart of the city. As I entered the cafe, the familiar scent of freshly brewed coffee mingled with a hint of nostalgia. I spotted Jane sitting at a corner table, her expression a mix of nervousness and hope. She stood as I approached, and we exchanged a tentative smile. "James," she said softly, her voice tinged with emotion, "thank you for agreeing to meet me." I nodded, taking a seat across from her. "It's good to see you, Jane. It's been a long time." Her eyes held mine, filled with a mixture of regret and sincerity. "I've thought about you often over the years," she admitted. "I never stopped regretting what happened between us." I listened as she spoke, her words painting a picture of struggle and self-discovery. She shared how difficult it had been to move on, haunted by the choices she had made and the consequences they had wrought. I realize now how much I took for granted, Jane continued, her gaze searching mine. You were always there for me, James. I didn't see it then, but I see it now. Her vulnerability touched something deep within me. I understand, I said gently. It wasn't easy for either of us. Jane nodded, her fingers tracing patterns on the tabletop. I'm not asking for forgiveness, she said quietly, but I want you to know that I've changed. I've spent years reflecting on my actions, and I've worked hard to become a better person. I studied her, sensing the sincerity in her words. The passage of time had softened the sharp edges of pain, leaving room for understanding and compassion. Life has a way of teaching us lessons, I offered, choosing my words carefully. I've learned a lot too, Jane, about forgiveness, about resilience. She nodded, her expression earnest. I'm glad to hear that. For a while we sat in companionable silence, the weight of our shared history hanging between us. The cafe buzzed with the chatter of other patrons, oblivious to the quiet intensity of our conversation. I don't expect things to go back to how they were, Jane said finally, breaking the silence. But I wanted to see you, to tell you that I'm sorry, and that I hope we can find a way to move forward. Her honesty touched me deeply. Thank you, Jane, I replied softly. I appreciate you reaching out. As we parted ways that evening, a sense of closure settled over me. Jane's unexpected reappearance stirred memories of a chapter in my life that had shaped me in ways I had not fully realized. Yet, standing at the threshold of a new beginning, with a loving family, a thriving career, and a sense of peace, I knew that the past had served its purpose. Driving home, I glanced at the sprawling estate in the rearview mirror, its silhouette against the fading sunlight a reminder of the journey that had led me here. I thought of Emily and our children, of the love and support that had anchored me through turbulent waters. Turning the corner, I caught a glimpse of the future unfolding before me, a future shaped by forgiveness, gratitude, and the unwavering belief in second chances. As I walked through the front door, greeted by the warmth of home and the laughter of my family, I knew that I had finally come full circle. As I embraced Emily, whispering words of love and gratitude, I felt a profound sense of peace. A peace born from understanding, acceptance, and the wisdom gained from life's unexpected twists and turns. The days that followed my meeting with Jane were filled with introspection and a renewed appreciation for the present. Emily and I discussed the encounter openly, sharing our thoughts and feelings with a sense of trust that had only deepened over the years. I'm glad you had a chance to talk, Emily said one evening, her voice gentle as we sat on the porch overlooking the estate. How do you feel about everything? I sighed, considering her question carefully. It was unexpected, but I think it was necessary, I replied honestly. Meeting Jane helped me gain closure on a chapter of my life that I hadn't fully resolved. Emily nodded, her fingers interlacing with mine. Closure is important, she agreed. Do you think it changes anything for us? I shook my head firmly. No, Emily, you're my present and my future, I said, meeting her gaze with certainty. We've built something strong and beautiful together. Her smile softened, filled with love and understanding. I feel the same way, James. Our journey hasn't always been easy, but it's been ours. In the weeks that followed, life settled into its familiar rhythm, a blend of family, work, and the quiet moments that anchored us. InnovateX continued to thrive, expanding its reach and impact in the tech industry. Our children pursued their passions with enthusiasm and determination, their laughter echoing through the halls of Aunt Margaret's estate. One crisp autumn morning, as I strolled through the estate gardens with Emily by my side, a sense of gratitude washed over me. The changing leaves painted a tapestry of gold and crimson, a reminder of the passage of time and the beauty of transformation. We've come a long way, Emily said softly, breaking the peaceful silence. I nodded, a smile tugging at my lips. We have indeed, and I wouldn't change a single moment of it. As we stood together, hand in hand, surrounded by the beauty of nature and the echoes of our laughter, I knew that our journey was far from over. Life would continue to unfold, presenting us with new challenges and opportunities. But with Emily by my side, I was ready to face whatever the future held. Our story was a testament to resilience, love, and the unwavering belief in second chances. As we walked back to the mansion, our hearts full and our spirits light, I felt a sense of peace, a peace born from forgiveness, acceptance, and the deep-rooted bond that held our family together. As we stepped through the front door, greeted by the warmth of home and the laughter of our children, I knew that we had found our place in the world. And as we embraced the future, hand in hand, I knew that our love would continue to guide us through the chapters yet to come. With the echoes of past chapters fading into memory, I found myself embracing a newfound sense of freedom and purpose. The meeting with Jane had provided closure, reaffirming my commitment to the present and the future that lay ahead. I made a conscious decision to focus on my life and career, channeling my energy into new opportunities and personal growth. InnovateX continued to thrive under Mike's capable leadership, allowing me the flexibility to explore new horizons. Travel became my companion, a passport to discovery and adventure. From bustling cities to tranquil landscapes, each destination offered a glimpse into different cultures and perspectives. I wandered ancient streets, savored exotic cuisines, and marveled at natural wonders, all the while finding inspiration in the diversity of the world. In my travels, I forged new friendships and connections, individuals whose paths intersected with mine. Sharing stories of resilience and ambition, we exchanged ideas, collaborated on projects, and celebrated successes together, creating a network of support and camaraderie that enriched my journey. As I immersed myself in new experiences, I rediscovered the joy of living fully in the moment, whether hiking through remote trails, attending cultural festivals, or simply savoring a quiet sunset. Each day brought its rewards. A reminder that life's true treasures lie in the simple pleasures and unexpected moments of beauty. Success, once measured by achievements and accolades, now became a reflection of personal growth and fulfillment. I celebrated milestones not just in my career, but in moments of clarity and self-discovery. The challenges I had overcome, both personal and professional, served as milestones of resilience and determination. Back at Aunt Margaret's estate, I found solace in its tranquility, a sanctuary where I could recharge and reflect on the lessons of the past and the possibilities of the future. The sprawling gardens and centuries-old architecture became a backdrop for contemplation, a canvas where dreams were nurtured and aspirations took shape. Emily and I continued to support each other's endeavors, celebrating our pursuits while cherishing the moments we shared as a family. Our children thrived in their paths, each carving out a future filled with promise and passion. One evening, as I stood on the balcony overlooking the estate, a sense of gratitude washed over me. The stars twinkled overhead, casting a soft glow on the landscape below. I thought of the challenges I had faced, the lessons I had learned, and the resilience that had carried me through. "I've come a long way," I murmured to myself, a smile playing on my lips. As I embraced the dawn of each new day, I knew that this journey of self-discovery, exploration, and the pursuit of happiness was far from over. Guided by the lessons of the past and fueled by a renewed sense of purpose, I looked ahead with optimism and anticipation, ready to embrace the adventures that awaited on this new path of life. The journey I had embarked upon was more than just a series of events. It was a profound lesson in love, trust, and the true meaning of happiness. As I reflected on the chapters of my life, I realized how each experience had shaped my understanding of what truly mattered. Meeting Jane, navigating the complexities of relationships, and experiencing the highs and lows of career success had all taught me invaluable lessons. Through it all, I had come to appreciate the depth of genuine feelings and the importance of trust in any relationship. Money, once a measure of achievement and security, paled in comparison to the richness of authentic love and unwavering loyalty. I had learned that material success could never replace the warmth of a heartfelt connection, the comfort of shared dreams, and the resilience found in the embrace of loved ones. Though I found myself walking a path without a romantic partner beside me, I carried with me a profound sense of gratitude and optimism. The challenges I faced strengthened my resolve and deepened my appreciation for the blessings in my life. In the quiet moments spent at Aunt Margaret's estate, surrounded by the beauty of nature and the echoes of my thoughts, I found solace. The sprawling grounds and historic architecture became a sanctuary where I could contemplate life's lessons and envision a future filled with possibility. As I looked ahead, I knew that happiness and success were not defined by external achievements alone. They were found in the moments of connection, in the kindness of strangers, and in the resilience to embrace life's uncertainties with grace and courage. With each sunrise, I welcomed the opportunity to embrace new adventures, cultivate meaningful relationships, and continue growing as a person. I knew that the road ahead would be illuminated by the lessons learned, the importance of authenticity, the power of forgiveness, and the beauty of embracing life's imperfections. As I closed this chapter of my life with a sense of peace and fulfillment, I carried forward the knowledge that true happiness lay not in the destination, but in the journey itself. With a heart open to love, trust, and the boundless possibilities of the future, I stepped forward, ready to embrace whatever lay ahead with gratitude and optimism.